Hey everyone, Sat Sri Akal, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So this week you've asked for tips on vocab and how to learn vocab. Very common question. So that's what I'm gonna go through today. What I've done is I've actually created basically a list of 10 things that I think would be good, because depending on what learning style you are, whether you like visual stuff like flashcards, whether you like listening to stuff, so audio learner, or you like physically doing stuff, so kinesthetic learners, depends on the different ways that you can then learn your vocab. And that's why I've come up with a list of 10. So then hopefully from that 10, 2 to 3 will actually work for you, for your family, and for your kids. So that's the idea. So not all of them might work for you, and that's absolutely fine. Try them out, see if you like them. If you don't like them, that's absolutely fine. And then try something else. If you do like it, obviously keep going. If you don't like it, try something else. And try something else anyway. Like, it's nice to learn new techniques and new ways to do things. Okay, so let me share my screen. I'm going to write them down as I go and as I explain, because then it's sometimes a little bit easier for you guys to understand and for me to work through them as well. Okay, cool. So hopefully you can all see that. So the first one, I recommend this to all of my students. Doesn't matter what age they are. Flashcards. Doesn't matter if they are physical flashcards or online flashcards. Now there's so many apps and free websites and paid websites available that you can create these on your own. So there's Quizlet, there's WordWall, there's they're the two main ones. There's definitely a couple of others. Canva's great as well if you're great at using design tools and things like that. So Canva's really great. I think Canva's free for personal use as well. So they're great for creating those flashcards. And then it's entirely up to you. You can either print them and physically use them as we would use flashcards. You can turn them over, write on double-sided. You could write it on like one half and the other half and fold it, and then you have to unfold it to see what you've written. So variety of different ways that you can use flashcards. It's a great way to literally build up that vocab, quick memory, and also because it's going to be repetition, your brain will need to see something up to 5 to 10 times to be able to remember it, and then obviously use it as well. So flashcards is a great way. Anyone who's got the logins to the membership and who's going to be joining my membership, I'm going to give you a lot of these flashcards. So the Mukta all the way to Peri, Mukta all the way to Peri Rara, and also like Ura Era ones as well. So, and I've got quite a few on the shop. So shop.nirmolakheera.com. So you can, they're just £2. So just literally download them and print them at home yourself. And if there's anything particular you guys want, drop me a message and I'll just make them and put them on the shop as well. So that's not an issue. The second most important tip is practicing. So Punjabi time every single day. So what does this mean? Now, if you are working on reading and writing, that means just 10 minutes. All I'm asking and all I advise is when you're starting out, start with 10 minutes every single day. Put an alarm on, have a checklist, put it a calendar on your wall, on your phone, whatever it might be. And every single day, commit 10 minutes. Tick it off as you go along. Because if you commit, if you do that, what you're doing is you're building up a habit of doing Punjabi. So like I said, reading and writing, that means 10 minutes a day of physically sitting, reading something, writing something. It could be anything. It could be Punjabi stuff that come up on social media. It could be a storybook. It could be your part. It could be anything you want. It doesn't have to be anything in particular, just anything that's going to help you progress every day. If you're doing the speaking and the listening side, that's what you want to develop. This is having conversations in Punjabi. So every day, 10 minutes, and have those conversations. So depending on who you live with, you want to be speaker to people. Just even if it's a normal Sat Sri Akal, ki hal hai, thwada din kive si, tusi ki keta si, aaj ki paaya si, tusi ki khada si, past tense, right? So have those conversations. The first couple of times, be aware, you may not say anything. Or the whole household might be 10 minutes of silence because they're like, oh, do I say something? Do I not? Do I just wait for after 10 minutes and I'll say it in English? I might get laughed at. I don't know how to say it. But if you stay consistent, and I've seen this with my students and I've seen this with other families, if you stay consistent, it will really pay off. It's really, really useful because you're building up that habit. You're letting your mind build those neurons, those connections again, but now in Punjabi, not in English. So once those connections are formed, your brain's going to start switching between the Punjabi and English really quickly. And your brain's just going to work wonders for you. I always get with this a question. What happens if I live alone? So now, your next tip, voice notes. How many of you are on WhatsApp? Probably all of you. Unless you're obviously kids who might not have WhatsApp. But even then, 90% of kids who still have a phone for emergencies, let's say to go to and from school. But then if you're kids, you're not going to be living alone. If you're living alone, voice notes is going to be your best friend. Find someone, find a group. Use my group as well. So I have a Let's Learn Punjabi WhatsApp group, which majority of you will be on if you're seeing this video, and use it. Send a voice note every day, 10 minutes. Okay. Doesn't have to be a full 10-minute voice note. What I mean is send a question on there, and then as a separate voice note, send your preferred answer as well. So what you've done is you've sent a question, so you're practicing your questioning skills, but you've also sent an answer, so you're sending your answering skills. Two things come. One, you practice, which is the most important thing because that's what you want to do. The second thing, you're going to encourage other people to practice as well. So the more you put in, the more that other people will also do. Also, probably a third thing, I'll listen to all of the voice notes and I'll chip in when I can to basically say, you know what, this was really amazing. This was a great sentence structure. That's really nice for family-friendly Punjabi. If you wanted to make it formal, we might say it like this. So I could give you those alternatives as well. Or I might say, that's a great word. These are alternative words that you might want to use, just again, to go back and building your vocabulary. So the more you talk, the more you practice, that's going to be amazing for you. So flashcard so far, practicing your Punjabi. If you live alone, voice notes, whether it's to your parents, to your best friend, to a partner, to just someone else who's learning Punjabi, that's absolutely fine. Or on our group as well. Voice notes is going to be your way if you live alone. The fourth thing that I recommend is listening to Punjabi. Now, when I say listening, I get lots of people who say to me, oh, I listen to lots of Punjabi songs or I watch Punjabi dramas. Now, let's be honest. Punjabi dramas are a mixture of Punjabi, Urdu, Hindi, depending on where it's based, where it's saying, because they want to kind of go and attract a wide variety of audience. So they're going to mix between Punjabi, Hindi, and Urdu, right? So not the greatest things to watch. They're okay, but not the greatest. Second thing with songs look for rhymes. They look for attraction, for beat, for mostly basically something that's useful for them to get across. If you actually listen to some Punjabi songs, not all of them, some Punjabi songs, they are not using the correct Punjabi structure. They might be using weird words, rhyming words, what we call, or I call, alien words, so non-real words altogether, just to make a rhyme. So Punjabi songs and Hindi dramas or Punjabi dramas aren't the best way. So what I recommend is going to the Gurdwara, going to, if you live near Southall or a Punjabi community, go and listen to people speak in Punjabi and try and pick up what they're saying. Don't eavesdrop, that's a bit creepy. But anything else that you can listen to in person. If you've got people who speak Punjabi at home, ask them, speak to me in Punjabi just for a couple of minutes. I just want to see how it sounds. I want to see if I can understand it. The important thing here is ask them to speak slowly. Okay, so the biggest thing that I've seen as a barrier, is someone just speaking Punjabi too fast. And that's the same thing with English. When people are learning English, they're speaking too fast. People can't pick it up. So ask them, speak slowly, speak fully Punjabi, and let me see what I can think. So listening to Punjabi. The other great way of listening to Punjabi is using any of those Punjabi videos that I use with all of my students as well. So download that Ultimate Punjabi and Sikhi videos list. Watch anything on there because I've vetted those. Those are Punjabi. Some of them are a little bit too formal, but formal is nice because you build up your vocab, right? Maybe not always you're going to use those words in family-friendly environments, but it's great to use in like maybe going to a wedding or a Gurdwara function, or you need to speak to a Gyani or something like that, because then you don't want to use family-friendly Punjabi. You want to know how to switch. So that's what I'd say. Listen to Punjabi as much as you can. The fifth thing, Punjabi stories. Now, again, two ways to do Punjabi stories. The first way is pick up any book whatsoever that you have at home, maybe your favorite story, maybe a nursery rhyme, maybe something you read to your kids, maybe something you just know off by heart, and translate it to Punjabi. Now, translating it does not have to be word for word. Get the gist of the conversation or the gist of the sentence, apologies, a gist of the conversation or gist of the sentence, and just translate it. Just if you were going to explain this to Dadiji or Dadaji or your Nani or Nanaji, how would you explain what just happened? If you're picking up a kid's book or a book with pictures in, look at the picture, describe what you see, describe the action that's happening, describe something that's happening, make it up as you go along. Again, a great way to build up vocab that you might not necessarily use on a day-to-day basis. So that's a great one for Punjabi stories. The other one is physically buying Punjabi story books. So there's quite a few online. I'll create a list of loads of Punjabi story books as well that I know, and I'll put that on our website so you can download that for free. But yeah, there's quite a few out there. Download them or buy them as they are, and then literally read them. So if you're practicing your reading and writing, you can read the Punjabi physically written in Punjabi letters. If you're practicing your speaking, then usually they write it in that transliterate or that Punjabi Bunglish, as I call it, underneath. So then you can write it in that. So there's your Punjabi stories. The next one is asking questions and being curious. So the great one that I like to ask is, "Ida matlab ki hai?" So what does that mean? Or "Eh Punjabi vich kis tarah kehndे ho?" So how do we say this in Punjabi? Right? Or "Eh Punjabi vich ki kehndे ho?" What is this in Punjabi? So ask the questions. When you're like, "Oh, I'm stuck, I don't know how to say this," ask. If you're afraid to ask somewhere, say on a group or to parents or whatever, feel free to always message me. Might take me a day or two to get back to you, depending on how crazy my kids are, but I will always get back to you. So yeah, ask questions and be curious. Seventh one, use free resources or any resources that they are available. So there's a couple of websites that have Punjabi flashcards on Punjabi games. I know we develop Punjabi games as well in terms of physical flashcards you can buy, Ura Era stuff you can buy, calendars that you can buy, books, any type of learning through play thing. And I wouldn't say that there's an issue or don't feel like, "Oh, this looks like a kid's toy, but I'm an adult, I'm learning for the first time." If it helps you to learn, buy them, use them, right? Don't feel like there's an age barrier to some of these learning through play stuff. Like, it's really, really, really important because different people learn different ways, like I said, depending on if you're audio, if you're a visual or kinesthetic learner. So buy them, use free resources. There's some great like Gurmukhi books out there, Gurmukhi boxes out there where you kind of got all the letters and all the different signs you can put together. And these you can also use, for example, our calendar is a great product. You can use for your speaking as well. So you set the day and the date and the weather every single day. And then you could literally have conversations on the back of that. Okay, so aaj haneri hai. Assi kehde kapde paunge? Well, haneri is windy. And I've just asked what clothes are we going to wear? Well, windy, so ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਟ ਪਾਉਂਗੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜੰਪਰ ਪਾਉਂਗੇ, maybe ਦੋ ਜਰਾਬਾਂ ਪਾਉਂਗੇ, right? So whatever it might be, then it just gets you to have that conversation or have a starting point for a conversation. Next one that I love doing with some people is creating a dictionary. So especially when you're building your vocab, just have a page at the back of a book somewhere or online, Google Doc, Canva, wherever you want to write it, a notes page in your phone. And physically jot down the words that you like, new words that you've learned, popular words, popular phrases that you're like, "Oh, I really want to remember that one. Let me write it down." Write it down because that's the best way that you can learn. And you got a record of it as well. The ninth one is actually learn the topics that are interesting to you. So don't worry about learning absolutely every single word there is in Punjabi. Just start with topics that you need to know. You probably want to know how to ask someone if they're hungry, if they've eaten anything, maybe what clothes they want to buy. Maybe you go clothes shopping for them. Maybe something needs washing, if something needs cleaning, ironing, that kind of stuff. You might want to ask elderlies, like, are they in pain? Does something hurt? So learn those topics. Those topics are really, really important. And last but not least, and I guess probably my favorite tip, I think it was Albert Einstein that said this. He said that if you can teach something, if you can teach something, then you've understood it fully. And this is a great way to learn. Once you've learned it, to reinforce your knowledge, try and share that knowledge with someone else. The last one is teaching someone. Now, this someone doesn't have to be in a formal environment. It could be your parents who already know Punjabi and say, hey, mom and dad, this is what I've just learned. I'm going to try and explain it to you. Let me see if it makes sense to you. And if they understand it, great. It might be a niece, a nephew, a son or a daughter or a best friend or a partner. It could be anyone. It doesn't matter. But teach someone, because if you can teach it, it means you've really fully understood it, because you have to break it down to their level, to someone who doesn't know it. And even if they do know it, to break it down enough for them to understand it without building those bridges themselves. So they're my 10 tips to learning vocab. I appreciate this video might be a little bit longer than the previous one, but I hope that was really useful. If you got any questions as we go along, or as you go along while you're going through learning your vocab, just drop me a message. And like I said, feel free to use this group. Ask as many questions as you want. Use your voice notes as well. If anyone wants to use voice notes on here, please do. I will check all of them and provide feedback as well. And I'm sure other people will do. And the more that you do it, the more that other people will do it. So it just encourages you all. So I hope that was really useful. And I'll see you in the next video, I guess. I'll see you next week, guys. Sat Shri Akal, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.